Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Sam, and this week I have exciting video. This rarely happens, but both of my holds, or all of my holds for this one series have come in at the same time. So I'm going to just read this series this week with you guys. Obviously this is, you would know by the title and the thumbnail what we are reading today, but this is not a completed series, but we will be reading the first two books in the Shield of Sparrows series by Devney Perry. I'm pretty excited to start more of Devney Perry's work. I have been enjoying working my way through the Edens series. We're gonna see her dip into fantasy. I have heard really good reviews about this series so far. People seem to really be enjoying it. I know literally nothing about this series, and we're gonna keep it that way. I feel like it's pretty classic romantasy from my guess, based on the cover and quotes. It says, "Fear the monster we make." So I assume there is some monsters in here. From what I remember, I feel like people have said it's like classic romantasy, but has some like fun twists and is a little refreshing. It is currently Friday when I'm filming this, so I will hopefully get a good way through Shield of Sparrows this weekend. I have one book to finish hopefully tonight, and I can start this tomorrow. That is it. I will leave you here for now. I'll check it on Monday once I have some actual reading updates. Hello everybody. I didn't end up reading as much over the weekend as I thought. Only read like 65 pages, but I did do a lot of reading yesterday. I'm now on page 280, and it did take me a bit to get into it. I don't know if I was just feeling slumpy over the weekend, but I just never really wanted to pick it up. And now I don't know if it's the book or if it's just that I want to finish it and be able to, move on to the next book, but I have been wanting to pick it up. Any spare chance that I have. I think I am going to keep the majority of this video spoiler free and add a spoiler section at the end. I don't know how much necessarily I'm going to feel like talking about things, but yeah, so we'll quickly do some general thoughts, and then if you stay to the end of the video, you can see all of my full thoughts with spoilers. So in this book, we are following Odessa, and she is the eldest child of the king of one of the lands in this fantasy world. However, she has a different mother to her siblings, and her father has chosen her sister May to be the sparrow. So I guess there's this treaty amongst all the lands that every daughter every so many years has to marry somebody from one of the other areas to keep like trade agreements and limit conflict, I guess. However, King Xavier comes and he picks Odessa to be his bride through this other treaty or law, I guess. That's kind of a loophole. He picked Odessa. So now Odessa is supposed to be kind of spying for her father because the Turas, I think that's the area, is pretty hidden. They're not very, not a lot of things are well known there. So she's trying to spy for her dad, except she was not trained on anything court politics or royalty or anything like that. So that's kind of the beginning, the very first few chapters, and that sets us up for the rest of the book. So I'm definitely enjoying this a lot more. We're starting to build some character relationships. In this world, there's also a lot of monsters, and some of them are absolutely terrifying. We've had a few run-ins, and it's been interesting exploring the world a little bit. We're not getting to see majority of the different lands, but spent a lot of time traveling through to her new kingdom. Well, that's really all I have. I feel like there's a lot of questions, not a lot of answers. not really sure what the, I guess like I know what the plot is, but I feel like there's not a clear, like I feel like in a lot of fantasy series we know that like there's a major conflict or there's a war or there's somebody like getting ready to battle. I feel like that's not really the case with this one. I'm not 100% sure what our plan is or what our characters are necessarily working towards. Other than obviously she is spying or supposed to be spying, but we're just not sure why. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that there. That's all I really have to say right now. I will check in once I have some more updates. I knew it. I knew it. Okay, I have some book updates. I am now 120 pages to the end of Shield of Sparrows. So I'm on page 390, and I feel like we're really in sort of that last chunk of a fantasy book where we start to get reveals. Things are crazy, everything's like exploding, and yeah. So I really feel like that started at like the page 350 mark or so. We were starting to get some like twists, and I have to say one of my theories was correct. And even though that I knew this was coming, like if you read a lot of fantasy and know some of those tropes, I feel like you could see this from a mile away, but it was still fun. The reveal was interesting. I really like how Devony Perry orchestrated that scene. I do really also like how Odessa is kind of coming into her own. She was chosen as the sparrow kind of as the throwaway heir, the like weaker of the two. She was not, raised or taught to spy or be royalty in any way. So she has always been looked down upon back home, and also nobody trusts her. She's an outsider in, I can never get any of the names of these places straight. I feel like I'm reading it, but like not really reading it. So her new homeland, and I feel like you could just really see that she's asking for what she wants. She's really trying to do some things for herself. Yeah, there's just been some quotes that I really enjoyed about that, and I'm starting to have a really fun time. I was definitely enjoying the book before, but it was taking me a bit to get into. It was a bit slow trying to travel through these different places. We weren't getting much information because obviously Odessa is not trusted. But now, like I said, we're getting to the climax of the story. We're getting more information. We're getting people's like true intentions a bit more. And so it's very fast paced. Like there's a lot happening now, and I'm having so much fun. I'm really enjoying this one and excited to see what other twists are going to be thrown our way. I feel like I have heard that there's a lot of twists at the end of this one. So hello everybody. So I did just finish Shield of Sparrows this morning. What a ride. The twists at the end just kept coming. Crazy. Lots of conflict, lots of, it's the end of a fantasy book. It's always chaotic, but I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed some of the growth. We did get some information, so I don't feel like we got absolutely nothing. There are still definitely some questions unanswered. Yeah, really solid. 4 stars. Can't wait to jump into Rights of the Starling. I'm hoping to have some time today, but we will see. I have a lot to get done today. Hi, everybody. I wanted to really quickly just mention that I made it 200 pages into Rites of the Starling over the weekend. I feel like I'm enjoying this one a little bit less. Very much a journey. We're meeting new characters. Some things just feel a little bit convenient, and I feel like we're not actually learning anything. I'm waiting for some plots to cross. It's feeling very second book syndrome. We are all journeying to various places, and I thought we would have gotten more of these different lands, these different regions, but it's very much, oh yeah, we're just going through here. So I wish there was a little bit more actual learning about these places and experiencing them. But I will check in once I actually have some time to do full thoughts and spoiler thoughts and everything, because I have to get to work. But I just wanted to check in and say that I did make it 200 pages in, but that's it. Hi, everybody. So I have a couple minutes before I have to leave, but I wanted to do a proper check-in for Rites of the Starling. I have now made it to page 339. Getting close to the end. But in this one, we get additional characters. We're meeting some new people. There's a couple different storylines that we're following, and I've just been trying to figure out how they are going to link, and I think I have a theory for that, but I'm also at the same time not quite sure all the specifics, because some of the things that happen are in the same storyline. I'm finding this one, I don't know, it's not necessarily slow, but like I mentioned yesterday, everybody's journeying. Everyone's going on a journey. We're all going through the different lands, but we're not actually experiencing any of the lands. And I don't like that. If we're going on a journey, I want to learn about the different places that we're going to, actually experiencing these different regions. It's very much journeying along, having an attack, not learning anything, and kind of moving on. And even now, there's still almost every chapter they're talking about, okay, we're in this area and now actually we're going to go back over here, or oh wait, maybe we shouldn't go back over there, maybe we should just stay here. There's also mentions of this book and these tales that keep coming up, and I never really understood the purpose of them. It kind of feels like a way to tell a history or connect everything without having to connect anything. I feel like stuff is starting to come together at this point, but I was feeling a lot of like second book syndrome from this one. A lot of just repetitive journeying, meeting new people, still not really getting anything answered, people keeping secrets. I also find our main character, Odessa, like you can see that she in some ways has grown as a character, but at the same time, like being with her and on this journey with her, I feel like a lot of your typical female main characters become this like badass FMC. They get trained and they're like expert with a sword, or they have some sort of magical powers and they're figuring out how to use them. Or maybe they're more of a softer kind of woman and they're more of a healer type, or some connection of all of them. I feel like Odessa's not really like that. She's kind of just like this normal girl, which is kind of nice. She's just kind of muddling along, but at the same time, I don't know. She's not that interesting. I'm going to read some more today. Fingers crossed. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not saying anything because anytime I say something, then my whole day goes up in flames. But I'm going to read some more, check in if I have more updates, and then see how this ends, I guess. Hello, everybody. So I did end up finishing Rights of the Starling this morning, doing the final check-in in the car because this is just the time that I have. And I'm pleased to say that I did end up really enjoying this one as well. I feel like many fantasy romance books as well that I have at least read, the last chunk of the book is definitely the most fast-paced and has the most happening. And so this was definitely no exception to that, but just the way that everything connected and came together was just so well done, so satisfying. I did guess the twist, which I don't think I ever actually shared what I thought that twist was in the spoiler section. Maybe I did, I don't remember, but I was right. I did guess the bulk of that, but the way that it was handled, it was still so satisfying, and there was so much of this book. And honestly, this is one of the main reasons why I do not DNF books, because by no means was I not enjoying this one, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping it was going to be. I wasn't having as good of a time. It felt like very slow and drawn out, but the way that everything wrapped up was just so satisfying and like connected everything and explained everything in a really good way. I feel like in this world, just Stephanie Perry's writing is so vivid, specifically the monsters. I feel like I could see what they looked like, although looking at fan art, I did not picture them the way they were supposed to be pictured. Missed something in there, but they were still very vivid, like the colors that were explained, and even some of the conflict and battle scenes were so vivid. There was something that I was reading about this morning or last night that was also very vivid that I don't think was either of those scenes, but I just feel like there was a lot of elements to this book that I could really picture. So I just had a great time reading both of these books, and I'm very excited to see what happens once book 3 comes out, see how the story unfolds and concludes. Yeah. Very satisfied, very excited to start like my next read. I think just the way that ended, it got like a little bit of a spark back in terms of wanting to just pick up and be excited for books. Hi everybody, I wanted to do a final check-in because I was editing this video and I feel like I didn't really wrap it up. So I do want to say that Rights of the Starling, I did end up rating 4 stars. I did end up really enjoying this one. I do feel like the first half to third of the book was very slow, very repetitive. Both storylines that we were kind of following were kind of the same, but then the way that everything connected and wrapped up together was just so satisfying, and I just absolutely loved that part of it. And in one of my last check-ins, I feel like I was a bit harsh with Odessa. Come into the end of this book, I feel like she grew so much as a person. She was able to stand up for herself and ask for or really demand answers, which I really appreciated. And I also feel like it's refreshing to see somebody that's very much just a normal girl. She wasn't trained to do anything. She's not turning into this like badass FMC. Like she's just herself. And I think that's really important. So I did just want to add those things here, and I'll add a few things to the spoiler section, but that is everything for today's video. If you would like to end it here and not hear any of the spoilers, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you being here. Let me know down below if you have read either of these books. If you're planning on reading these books, I would love to chat with you. But stick around if you would like to hear my spoiler thoughts. And if not, then have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Okay, spoiler section. So I'm currently 280 pages into Shield of Sparrows, and I had some theories at 188 pages. So, first of all, the Guardian is very clearly supposed to be the love interest, just the way that he's talked about. But Odessa is married to Prince Xavier, and Xavier and the Guardian also seems to have a partner or like a relationship. But I also might have just like misinterpreted that. I'm talking with somebody else. So I'm not necessarily sure how that relationship is going to work out between the Guardian and Odessa. However, I also have a theory that the Guardian is actually royalty, but he's like undercover, but also the Guardian because he has these extra powers. Speaking of powers, I also think that Odessa has some sort of something going on tied to her mother's bloodline because back home, her mother's like existence was kind of stamped out. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about her mother, what she looked like. There's no pictures of her. It's very like hush hush. So there's something going on there. And Odessa has this locket that I think ties to some power or something because there have been some mentions that when she puts it on, she like feels something. What else did I say? Oh, Odessa's father has also asked her to give him a map or give him information on how to find Allenside. Is that their supposedly like main kingdom, and there's something going on with that place. Anytime she asks anybody, everybody seems to get very uncomfortable. So I think that the kingdom has like fallen or it's hiding or there's something going on with it. They have to like save it in some way. That's it. Obviously, all these animals are sick. I don't know what that relates to. Yeah, that's it. Those are my theories for now. I'm having fun.
Okay, spoiler thoughts. First of all, the name reveal was, I hate it. I'm sorry, I hate his name. Ransom? Absolutely not. Is that an unpopular opinion? I have no idea, but you don't like that. Secondly, I was right about two of my theories. So, first of all, the Guardian Ransom is the love interest, and he is also actually the prince. Xavier is like a body double, essentially. Yeah, really excited about that. That was very obvious to me, though. So, I mean, if you didn't pick that up, I feel like you're not a typical fantasy reader. I don't know. I feel like I've just seen that a number of times, but I still really enjoyed the way that she did that reveal. I feel like it was still fun. I was getting giggles. That was actually the chapter that you saw me reading this morning earlier in the vlog when I said that I knew it. That's what I knew. So fun. Having time in my life. Love Phase. The little lion. No, Tiskin or something. The little baby monster. Love him. He's so cute. Yeah, I feel like there's lots of like pieces moving around the chessboard, but there's still a lot of secrets. I'm having fun. This is fun.
Okay, spoiler section. His mom, first of all, is Luella. Crazy. She was under everybody's nose the whole time. And also she's the one that has created Lissa. Ma'am, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? Absolutely not. His dad is also super shady. Why is he working with Banner? Don't like him. And also the Crux just decided to show up and kill everybody. So I feel like everybody is dead. I don't know who is still alive. There's like 5 people from everything that we already knew. Everybody's separated. What is gonna happen next? Also, that last scene with the Crux was traumatizing. That was so graphic. I feel like more graphic than any other ones, and I could see it so vividly of people just getting sliced in half. I'm gonna go start right to the startling. Okay, time for my spoiler check-in for Rights of the Starling. I realized I did not give like any check-ins for this book, but there really nothing much has really happened. So we're following two characters now. We're following Odessa and we're also following Caspia. Caspia is from this like mysterious land of Kern, I believe, Ken, something like that. And she's part of the Starling. It gives off like witchy vibes. They don't really have powers, but it's this like group of women, and once they hit their right or they have their right, they can change and shapeshift into all of these creatures. Crazy. And it seems like they are the reason that the Crux are migrating, because it's actually these starling that are coming over in some ways, except when the starling come to Calandra, they get stuck in their shapeshift creature. And while they're there, their blood turns green. So is it actually Lissa, or are they all just starling? That was a crazy discovery. So at the same time, I feel like no one's in Odessa's plotline. No one's trying to figure anything out about Lissa. Like they're not trying to research it. We have no one like reading anything, trying to figure anything out. No one's talking about anything, asking questions. And also, we still haven't gone to Alisaria. We don't know what is there. We keep just hinting at this place. And I think I have a theory that Caspia is actually Odessa's mom. And we're getting like her plot line and sort of the things that led to what Odessa is now experiencing. That's everything. I feel like Andreas, which is Caspia's love interest, I feel like he's actually the king. There's still something shady going on with the Voster's powers. Don't know why it makes them in pain. There's still a lot that needs to be resolved. And there's this like book, the 90 sonnets or something, that keep like coming to fruition, and I don't understand what the relevance of that is. I keep just waiting for these stories to overlap and figure out how they're linked. But yeah, enjoying, but it's not giving what I kind of expected to get out of this series. It seems like everyone really likes this series, and it's just, I'm not getting the obsession that I've been looking for. Final spoiler thoughts. I was very satisfied with the way that this ended. I feel like our new POV was very obviously Odessa's mom, kind of in the middle to last third. I figured that out. I think her seeing Ransom kill the Swift really threw me off on what the actual timeline was. But once I figured it all out and it was actually a future vision, like way in the future, it was very obvious that they were related. But even from the beginning, I figured that they were related in some way. It was just very satisfying that everything is coming full circle. Odessa is now starting to feel the call of the right. I have some theories in how I think Seven of the Swift will go. I feel like the vision is not going to come to fruition in the way that she sees it, or like we very much don't see all of it. And even in her mom's last vision, she finally started to take control of herself before she got killed. And so I feel like it's going to be a similar situation. Yeah, I just really enjoyed the relationships that were formed in this one. Just so sweet. Bit disappointing in the beginning, but also like I felt such a sense of satisfaction with the way that it ended that I'm not super mad about that. But I think that's everything. That's everything that I wanted to say. Had a lot of fun reading these books together. If you'd like to DM me any spoiler thoughts, obviously keep the comment section spoiler free for anybody that hasn't read it, but you can find me on the other corners of the internet. All my links are linked down below so we can talk spoilers. But that is everything for today's video. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you stuck around to the end, I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next one. Bye.